Okay, we're on live now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's call. I'm really glad that you're here because we're going to tackle something that eats away at your revenue silently: inventory management. So it's not sexy, it's not cool, but it is incredibly important. This is one of the most overlooked areas in a med spa operation, and it's typically the first place I find thousands of dollars in waste, missed profit, and operational chaos. So today I'm going to walk you through the key questions I get asked most often. How much inventory should we carry? How often should we count it? What systems work best? How do we avoid over ordering? And most importantly, how do we understand the real financial impact of inventory on the business? So I'm going to tell you a real life story. I one time walked into a med spa that they had contacted me and they said, Amanda, I don't know what we're doing wrong. We have the best provider. We have the best estheticians. Our manager is great. We have X, Y, and Z. So I went in there and I walked into this med spa that was really about to close its doors. They just didn't know whether they should close and sell everything off or if they should try and revive it. They were overwhelmed, underperforming, and cash flow was tight. The owner called me and just said, I don't know, let's shut it down. So I walked in there and I started casually perusing the med spa, and it was beautiful. I looked at the retail shelf, which was overflowing with every product you could imagine. I went in their treatment rooms. I went in their med room. And when I started to see what was going on, I immediately knew where to start. I opened a cabinet in their med room, and over $20,000 in inspired injectables was sitting right there on the shelf. This was because the injector didn't like the specific brand and refused to use it. And no one stopped the ordering, or when the brand rep would offer trainings with minimum buy ins, they would consistently purchase and have the trainings. But this generated zero revenue, and those products were sitting on that shelf. I went in a back storage room, and over $60,000 in expired retail products were sitting on shelves. Esthetician after esthetician had been ordering what they wanted with no system, no usage tracking, no central oversight. Anything that had been requested was ordered without question by the lead esthetician and in abundance. The problem was that each esthetician didn't have enough business to essentially be doing their own custom treatments. That med spa had nearly $80,000 in dead inventory, cash that could have funded payroll, marketing, device training, just sitting in drawers and cabinets expired. This wasn't just an ops issue, it was a revenue leak. So we're going to break this down. How much inventory should we keep on hand? Lots of brand reps and med spa operations consultants will tell you to have par levels, and they're really nice to have. But I like to measure inventory in weeks as opposed to par levels. 2 to 4 weeks of usage based on your historical service volumes. So, what you're going to do there is you're going to pull in your EMR your product usage for retail, for injectables, for Botox, for devices. And you're going to see and you're going to do the math and see exactly how much you need to have 2 to 4 weeks on hand. For injectables, I want you to track average monthly units used per provider and hold enough to have a small buffer. And for retail, I want you to start with your best sellers only. Keep your SKUs tight. Avoid the 3 of everything rule. Start when you're tracking your retail and you're pulling those reports. We want to see what has sold in abundance over the last months and what has been sitting on the shelves collecting dust. A rule of thumb is that inventory should not exceed 8 to 10% of your monthly revenue. So if you're doing $100,000 a month, you should not have $20,000 sitting on your shelves. So how often should we do a full inventory count? Once a month is ideal before reordering. I want you to do mini spot checks weekly on high turn items like tox, fillers, cleansers, SPFs. And I want you to assign one person to oversee this. This cannot be everyone's job or a team effort. This is really important because there's too many cooks in the kitchen. It's just not going to work out well. So, what inventory systems should we use to track? So, it depends on your budget. There's lots of different options. So, low tech, Google Sheets with tabs by category, reorder alerts, and batch tracking for expiration. Mid-range, some of the EMRs have retail in them. And your best options are AI-driven inventory systems that forecast, watch expiration dates, and handle counting and reduce truly 40 plus hours of work per month. Inventory is a full-time job, especially in a busy med spa. You need to have leads dedicated to medical, to retail, to aesthetics, and they all need to answer to that manager or inventory specialist. It's critical to track usage per provider. This doesn't only say how well your providers are doing, but it also allocates enough so that we have enough on hand. We need to track cost per unit and mark expiration dates. This needs to be done consistently. And if it's not tracked, then it's not managed. So, how do I avoid over ordering or running out of product? Set those weeks and those 2 to 4 weeks as instead of par levels. Do you have enough for 2 weeks, 5 weeks, tens? Usage reports can easily be pulled. Are you having an event where you need to stock extra on hand? Or can you say, hey, I know that my provider is going to be out for 2 weeks, so let's make sure that we pull back on ordering. I like you to order on a fixed schedule, weekly or bi-weekly, and never allow team members to place orders independently without approval. This is crucial. I want you to create a central process. I want you to assign that inventory lead, whether it's your manager or a specialist who counts weekly, orders bi-weekly, and logs receipts immediately and flags slow or moving and expiring products. Would you leave your bank account open for anybody to withdraw from? No. So your inventory should be just as protected. Our COGS in this business are astronomical. They're tens of thousands of dollars each month going right out the door. So we need to make sure that it is accounted for and accounted well. How much of my revenue is tied up in inventory? Lots of people ask that. So let's do some quick math. If you carry $30,000 in inventory and make $100,000 a month, that's 30% of your cash. That is way too high. A healthy target is 8 to 12%. And anything over 15% should be treated like an emergency. So I want you to ask yourself a couple of So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do you know your current inventory value? How much of it is moving within 30 to 45 days? And how much is sitting collecting dust or worse, expiring? Inventory is not an asset unless it's turning into revenue. So I want you to check in your provider rooms, in their cabinets. What have they squirreled away in there? What is in your storage room on shelves that you never go back there? And what is actually selling? With retail, you have a couple of different options. Their competitors, whether it's Zeo or Skin Better, Alastin, etc., any of them, they will buy back other inventory and give you credit for this. And this way, you have a credit line essentially with a different vendor. This is an incredibly valuable tool. So I want to challenge you this week. I want you to do a walkthrough. I want you to pull every expired item, retail and medical. I want you to log what you find, the item, the value, and the expiration. And then I want you to ask yourselves, why was this ordered? Why wasn't it used? And what changes do we need to make? You can start simple. Start with one spreadsheet, one system, and one person in charge. These are critical questions. If it wasn't used, why? What can we do to pivot? What can we do to have another vendor take it off our hands? Do we need to have a training? These are all aspects that sometimes when people are coasting, and it's not their fault, but when they're coasting, it really becomes one of those things where they don't think about it. And they don't say, oh, hey, this product has been sitting on the shelf unsold for 6 months. They go with their tried and true. When it comes to ordering, order what your providers use. I never bring on an injector to any practice and order ahead of time. I want to order what the injector likes, those product lines, the brands, whether it's Restylane, Juvederm, etc., because I want to make sure that what that provider likes and is comfortable with is on those shelves for use. So again, inventory is not sexy, but it is one of the fastest ways to plug profit leaks. You have to also think of all the other cost of goods instead of just your retail and your injectables. You have to think about your office supplies, snacks, waters, coffee for the office. These all add up so quickly. So some key takeaways as we get ready to wrap up. I want you to keep 2 to 4 weeks of inventory on hand at all times. I want you to count it monthly and track it daily. And this goes, make sure that you're auditing your tickets in your EMR. Sometimes things are not checked out right, and we need to make sure that we are really addressing all of those aspects. I want you to assign ownership, whether it's your manager who's in charge. I don't want you to delegate this because it becomes chaotic. I want you to have a lead injector who's handling the medical supplies. I want you to have a lead esthetician who is handling the aesthetic supplies. And I want one of your front desk leads to handle your retail. And that all has to be submitted with reports to your manager who makes the final approval and makes the orders. And they have to be within budget. Know your inventory to revenue ratio. This is critical. What are you making? If I purchase $10,000 worth of X product, how much money am I going to make off of that? And how do we sell it? And you control your cash by controlling your products. This is the baseline. So I would love to help you run a quick audit or set up a tracking system. I have templates, guidance, and then really finally, the best options, like you have your EMR, we have AI driven tools to help with this. And that really takes away from the chaos. It takes away from the questions surrounding what do we have, what do we not have. And it really tracks and gives you guidance on what you are projected to sell, what you are projected to earn, and which providers are really giving you the most inventory and with the revenue you have on hand. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. What's a good incentive system for team members to reduce waste or hit inventory goals? So a good incentive is that when we track our KPIs, as we should be doing each month with all of our providers, we want to really reward those clients, those providers. So whether that means that you are getting additional product, staff product from a vendor, whether you're getting gifts with purchase from vendors for free, those are really great tools to incentivize your team. Should providers be allowed to stock their own rooms? So for aesthetics, for spa services, they do need to have some products on hand, but I do like them to go back to a med room at the end of the night. And this is critical because people will start to unconsciously squirrel away products in their rooms, and then they start to use them. Injectors, absolutely not. Everything should be kept in a locked medical room with video surveillance just for security purposes. You have cleaning crews, you have vendors who are coming to work on your HVAC system. You want to make sure that these high price inventory items are safely locked away. Okay, speak to minimum orders and volume discounts. So if you know that you have a product such as a tox that is a high volume item that you know gets used and doesn't and has a 2-year expiration date, and you have the capital, I don't mind ordering in bulk for that. I one time negotiated a contract with one of the tox brands for spending $100,000 in one go, but it was 1 year worth of product that was going to expire in 2 years. And that product, we saved 40% on those injectables and really created a revenue tracker. Now, for retail products, it's a little bit different, and it depends on the volume that your med spa does. Every single rep is going to tell you that you have to order this, you have to get to here. Oh, we have a new product, but the minimum is $2,000. That is not for everyone. So if you are worried about this, talk to your consultant, have them do an audit of your retail products and really see where you are and where are good places to buy in bulk and where are places to save money. Okay, we have fallen for bulk discount to buy 40 boxes of filler that expire before we use them. I see this all the time. This is why you have consultants, right? Your vendor reps, while wonderful, they care about themselves. And so if you don't have an injector who is going to fly through this product, who can sell this product, then it is dead on your shelves. And there is nothing to do with injectables. You cannot trade it out with another company. You cannot swap it for things because it is a medical treatment. Okay. Does the 8 to 12% of inventory to revenue ratio include back bar only or retail? So this includes back bar, injectables in retail. It includes everything. So what I want you to do is I want you to pull with your consultants, I want you to pull your P&Ls. I want to look at your cost of goods for each month, and I want to see where you're spending. And that means everything from toilet paper all the way to filler. I want to look at absolutely everything and really see where we're overspending and where we need to make sure that we have enough on hand. Not everything needs to be there in overabundance. Remember, injectables get delivered next day if you order by 12 p.m. So I want to make sure you don't want to be lost and you don't want to be always ordering next day, but you do want to make sure that you are ordering wisely and within your budget. So your consultant will sit with you and create a budget for each month that will really help streamline your fiscal responsibility and make sure that you are staying on track. Any other questions so far? Hi, Jordan. Hi, Eric. Rachel, Rebecca. Great to see all you guys. So if you have any questions on inventory, this is something that you probably don't even realize is sucking revenue after revenue out your door. So what we're going to do is we have templates, we have guidelines. So if you want those, please comment inventory in the chat and we will get this out to you. This is one of the places that it is an extremely hard project to tackle. However, we can do this together and we can save you money. We can see where you're using things that you're ordering things that you don't even use. And there is a lot of product expiring. How would you recommend we unload it? So it depends on what the product is. Okay. So if you have an overabundance of lip filler that you are not going through, then maybe you do a flash sale or you do a contest, right? Where you do a like, share, and comment. And from there, we can allot 5 winners, right? Or you can do a bundled package where if somebody is buying cheeks, they get lips for free or at a discounted rate. And so this is one of those things. There are a plethora of options. There is not only one right answer. And for each individual med spa, we can definitely work on that. One little tidbit, B12 and the peptides that we all love expire so quickly. What I like to do when they're getting ready to expire, instead of your providers putting it in everybody's arms, I love to offer this in exchange for a Google review for our clients. So this is a really powerful tool to help you amp up your Google reviews and keep you trending and your SEO are right on target. Okay, so a few more minutes for any final questions, thoughts. And if not, I will send out this inventory training and spreadsheets to your team. Remember, not all EMRs are created equally when it comes to inventory tracking. And so you want to make sure that if you're using your EMR, you have that one manager who is dedicated to updating it on a daily basis when orders come in. If it's not updated, it is absolutely useless to you. So you can catch this on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. And if you are interested, we, as your consultants here at Diamond, can help you with everything from inventory and beyond. Thank you so much.